Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Investing Bros. It is Wednesday, June 28th, and we got a great show lined up for you guys today. A little bit different, though. We're going to have some things flow a little different than they normally do. However, we got a lot to talk about here. Probably the biggest story of the day, though, John Deaton, the Ripple lawyer, coming out a little bullish on Bitcoin. We're going to talk about that and a whole lot more, but we also have some negative stories with some exchanges here in the U.S. You do not want to go anywhere. We also have our special guest, Kadena, is here. People from Kadena are here to explain that a little bit better. We want to remind everyone, this is not a sponsored video. Kadena is not sponsoring. We're not recommending anyone purchase the token, but for the sake of education so that you can continuously update yourself on what you want to invest in and what you don't want to invest in, we wanted to bring them on and learn a little bit more about their project. If that is something you guys love, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button. We're here every single weekday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. I'm joined by two great co-hosts this morning, starting off with the Florida man, Mr. T. Shroom. T. Shroom, how you doing?
Well, I'm better than I deserve, Tim. I'm glad that we're here, bring it to you live. We got some really good stuff today, guys. Or at least some stuff that you should know about. I've got a quote of the day here, but I want to say that yesterday, for the first time, I actually tried Raising Cane's. They just put one in Gainesville where I live, and I've got to say, that chicken smacked. It was succulent, moist, and the batter was not too heavy. It was very light batter. And also the sauce was boss. Let's get to the quote of the day, guys. The quote of the day is, "The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new." And that's from Socrates. So we're going all the way back with that quote, baby. Tim, back to you.
That's a good quote. That is a good quote. You got to keep your eyes fixed forward, man. They told us, not that I ever did track, but in racing, they said when you're racing someone, the losers are the ones that end up trying to look over their shoulders to see who's right behind them if they're in the lead. Winners, they just keep their eyes fixed forward. They just focus on what's ahead of them. You gotta do the same thing with life sometimes. We also got a co-host, Mr. Army Piper, joining us from Texas, and almost to be retired Army Piper. We're gonna call him Civilian Piper. How you doing this morning, Piper?
Brother, I'm doing good. I'm here trying to hold it together, bringing all these guests in today. So sorry about that intro. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I will fix it.
Yeah.
You know me. But yeah, I'm doing good, man. I'm just grinding on the charts and waiting for today's great alpha that we're going to be putting out. So
is it just like the amount of stuff happening in eCam is it kind of like overloads the system? Is that what those pauses are, or what do you think?
No, I think it's just that we have too much awesome on here, and the system can't handle this much awesome. So yeah,
that's gotta be. That's the most reasonable explanation that I could come up with. But we're gonna go ahead and go over here. Speaking of awesome, you guys know we start every single show reading off some of these names. And here there's two names missing up top. I do see one of them down in chat. Maybe we'll get to both of them. But we have a new leader, and his name is Crypto Pew Pew Cruz, and he did it with style this morning, saying, "TED Talk, nah, Ted can walk. I'm going to be with the bros where all my peeps flock. Channel growing faster than Jack's beanstalk. Sup, Ninja Glock." With the bars, Crypto Pew Pew Cruz crushing it this morning. Number one spot right behind him.
Did he get that in as the intro?
That was the first comment. That was the first
is a flex. That's a hard flex.
I love it. I love it. This is a special show, and that was a special first comment. So this is good stuff right now. Al Bundles Crypto Trappa was number 2, saying with a very humble good morning, or General Motors, depending on how you interpret GM. Justin Eubanks is also here this morning. Gia S is here. Who else we have? Cryptex with the blue wrench is in chat this morning. Bedridden with the blue wrench is here. Mike Play is here. Who else we have? Remington Peralt. I haven't got to read that name in a while, so welcome back, Remington. Or maybe you watched the show. I think you watched the show. I think a name later on in chat, but good to read your name again. Mr. J is here as well. Troy King is here. Brian D is here. Crypto JMP. Ninja Glock with the shout out from the first comment too. So special day for him. Crypto JMP is also here. Who else do we have? Let's see here. Joe Nickel is here. Sir Mugiwara. Again, I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, but we're going to stick with it. Crimson Caravan Company is here. Crypto Trades is here. Chote Mian. Good name. Chote Mian. think that's correct. Sativio Shimoto is also here. DeJenny from the blockchain. Shout out to DeJenny. OBC is here. Max PP, Noah Crypto, 1080. Ooh, that's a good name. 1080. We get a couple more here and we'll move on to the show. We got a lot to unpack today. Crux of Crypto with the blue wrench. Eric Brubaker, the Kid Co MN. And did it skip some because I didn't? Elo Brown with the blue wrench. There's one of our names that's usually early, but we're not seeing. I'm going to say his name, even though he's not here. A mellow fellow. Not seeing him in here just yet. Crypto 420, Frankie Frelay. And guys, I believe that I just read every single name in chat. If for some weird reason I skipped you, which I don't think I did, it doesn't mean I don't love you. It is just time to go ahead and get into this amazing content. Starting off, again, different morning this morning. We're going to have a very brief opening on economic output because there is something important happening, but we're going to jump into a story, then some TA, then bring on our guest, and then jump back into stories later on the show. So make sure you stick around. And again, right now, guys, 62 people watching, 36 likes. Smash that like button. Pipers, I throw it to you. Have you smashed the like button just yet?
Come on. Come on, Tim. You know I did, man. Come on.
Just got to check, man. I just got to check.
You only got to tell me one time that I let the team down, man, and then I fix it, okay? All right? All right. Jeez. Come on now.
All right. What we got this morning, Piper?
Yeah, let's jump over, man. So taking a look here, guys, on the macroeconomic schedule today, we've got right now, this is going on here in like, what, 13 minutes, 12 minutes? No, 22 minutes. Sorry, math is hard. Clocks are even harder. Fed Chair Powell speaking, doing a little speech over there in it's European central banks, I believe, is who he's talking to today. So look for some volatility. He may say something that triggers, the risk on, risk off mindset. So that's really it. And he's going to be speaking again tomorrow. And again, we're just watching for Friday. We got core PCE, quarterly futures closing, and monthly quarters closing for futures all on Friday. So that's what we got there. Just real quick, let's do a little refresh here. See if Trueflation. Yeah, Trueflation's still coming in neutral. So nothing major going on right now, Tim. So good to go. Good to go.
Well, we do have some major stuff happening. And again, the title this morning, Bitcoin explosion to $75,000. Well, I'm gonna just go ahead and get it out there before anyone else says it. It's a little clickbaity. But you know what? Sometimes clickbait is a good thing. It is a true statement. It's not a lie clickbait. It's just that this was a very juicy story. And before we jump onto the charts, because we're going to do a really quick drive-by TA, and then we're going to bring our guests on this morning. There's been a prediction for $50,000 to $75,000 Bitcoin from John Deaton, the Ripple lawyer. It's really interesting to see an XRP guy get big on Bitcoin, but that is the big story. T-Shroom, can you tell us any more about the details going on over there? What's happening with this story? And is there a timeline we should be expecting this?
Oh, absolutely. So go over to my screen. The headline officially is pro Ripple lawyer spots positive sign for Bitcoin, eyes 50 Bitcoin, but that's part of the range. It's a lower bound of a range. There's his tweet kind of speaking to that. He said, if nearly 80% of Bitcoin hasn't moved, it might be a sign that people aren't selling. Very interested to see what happens with that percentage at 50 to 75K. So that is kind of where we're getting that from. Of course, he tweeted that out yesterday. So that is kind of where he's going with that. On June 26th, crypto analyst Will Clemente shared a comment by Stanley Druckenmiller, which indicated that 86% of people who own Bitcoin at 17K did not sell when their Bitcoin plunged down to 3,000. So some very strong hands, diamond hands, some might say. In terms of a timeline, there seems to be not a ton in regards to a timeline, but it's really, we're ticking into the second half of the year here, where folks. I mean, we heard from HSBC yesterday saying that we may be seeing a recession here in the second half for the United States, and July is going to mark the first day of the second half of that year. So in terms of a timeline, Deaton does not give us that very clearly. Perhaps, Tim, did you see that somewhere else?
No, I asked just in case I missed it for some reason. Found this article this morning, thought it was kind of interesting. Like I said just a second ago, in case you're tuning in, I'm going to be completely upfront with you guys. It was not a lie clickbait. It was a wow, that's a juicy headline right there. Let's put that on the title. I'm going to be real with you guys. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, John Deaton, that there was no timeline assigned to this. He's just kind of implying, let's see what happens there. But if anyone interprets that story or reads that as in, hey guys, I think Bitcoin's about to explode up to 50K or 75K, I think you'd be a little bit disappointed. I don't think that that's going to happen. Let's transition this over into our Bitcoin TA this morning very quickly, and then we're bringing on our guests here. Guys, I'm going to start off. I'll address 75K, 50K here in just a second. Let's start off down on the hourly chart, way, way, way down. Got some cool things happening here. It kind of tests your resolve to stay in on Bitcoin. But you guys know from the show yesterday, we discussed this bull flag kind of forming here. At the moment, we are testing. We're still setting higher lows, but we are definitely testing this support level. We came down here literally moments ago, bouncing off of $30,010. Even if we drop below, guys, I think 30,000 is pretty strong support from a flat level. Even if we drop below, though, even if we wick down here to into the 29s, notice in this flag, these things happen. We had two different times we actually broke above this level of resistance. A little bit of a fake out, a little bit of a false rally. This is still forming. Even if the wick drops down here and does something like this and then bounces back up into it, we still could easily respect this flag. In case you guys are wondering, going out to the 4-hour chart, let me go ahead and take down my oscillators before I bring them back up. But this is where we're kind of getting a bull flag. I told you guys yesterday, conservative bull flag would put us, we're starting down here up to the beginning of the actual flag pattern, move this over to a potential bounce. That would give us a price prediction somewhere here in this yellow box right here around 34,500. If I were to get a little bit more aggressive with it, come all the way down to this dip down here. Come on now, grab my line. If I were to grab down here up to this beginning and then move this over to a breakout, this would give us the top of this range sitting here about 36,177. In all reality, I like 36,000, the best of those spots. You might be wondering, Tim, where is this bottom level coming from? Well, that is with our market dynamics, our multi-time frame resistance, and that gives us on the 12-hour chart, we're seeing some come in down here at 33.5. So definitely keep your eyes on this box right here. When it comes to, I'm going to kind of be quick with this one, and we're going to move over. Actually, one more thing I want to say. Keep an eye on this right here. On the hourly chart, pulling back up our oscillators, you guys can see this morning we did get our oversold and green triangle reversal with bullish divergence flash this morning. So as we're down here at the support level, again, could we get a wick maybe one more time down to this 12-hour support at 29,785? Potentially. And that wouldn't, to me, end this bull flag whatsoever. But I wouldn't be surprised also to see us go ahead and hold this level of support. This is now the third touch we've had on this. Like what I'm seeing this morning with these oversold flashes on the hourly chart. 4-hour charts, not necessarily low, not necessarily in an oversold flashing, but definitely in a spot that we kind of reloaded here. I love seeing this. I talked about it yesterday. I love seeing when the oscillators rally up, we get our overbought, and then the oscillators themselves, the RSI, the chart prime oscillator, they drop while the price moves sideways. That's a classic reloading structure. So you love to see it. Moving out to the daily chart very, very fast. Let's just take a look here. Bring this down. I'm going to pull up these oscillators right here. Going back out to 75. First of all, of course, 75K, guys, as many of you know, would be brand new all-time highs. We're talking about move to the upside. In fact, I don't think there's going to be any type of let's just see it. Yeah, because there's a thing we always talk about Fibonacci retracement. We rarely talk about extension. Yeah, there's not really a significant level on Fibonacci. The next significant level is about 81,745. Doesn't mean 75 doesn't come into equation. I think that's a level. 75 was talked about a lot during the last bull market. 75K, that is. But I think that's a little bit of a stretch. John Deaton, I think we're looking at 75K possibly next summer, maybe a year from now, literally in June of 2024. Possibly we're seeing a $75,000 Bitcoin. When it comes to 50K, this is the more reasonable one. This is that golden pocket. We've talked about it a lot. So many similarities back to 2019. We had our golden pocket back here. Those who have been watching Investing Bros for a while, you guys know that I've talked about this in detail, but this is what we did back in 2019 in this pre-bull market rally. We came up and kissed our golden pocket. And for a while, I was kind of holding to that same thought, but my timeline kind of got messed up. I thought we were going to hit it back in May, and then we're going to have our nice hard crash. The fact that we've kind of delayed this doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it does mean we're doing a little bit of difference of movements. We're not following the same timeline. We're not following the same percentage of movements as we were in 2019. So I've updated my prediction to be more realistically. If we're looking here at Fibonacci, I realistically am looking at 36,000 and then potentially maybe some wicks that pop up to 42, and that's a potential. I, at this point, will be very, very surprised if we see a 50K Bitcoin and a push back up to our golden pocket. Realistically, guys, I'm seeing a bounce here, maybe between 36, maybe some support at 30,000, a little bounce back up, and then maybe a fall back down to 25.2 before later on 2024, the real bull market starts to move to the upside and gets explosive just like it did in 2020, 2021. Before I leave this, let's go back to Brocam really quickly, and then we're going to bring in our guest here. I also want to explain this from a more rational reason why we will not see the price go up like this. Seeing a lot of optimistic headlines this morning. That's a bad sign in my book. I'm not saying we can't keep moving to the upside, but just so you guys know, from a fundamental news standpoint, when everything in the news, opinion-wise, is positive, you're kind of looking for some downward pressure, and vice versa. When everything's super negative, you're kind of looking for some upward pressure. I would not be surprised, especially with the recent institutional money coming into Bitcoin, to see the manipulation continue. I think that BlackRock and others love their buying spots between 25,000 and 30,000. Watch them press the price up to 36, take some profit, leave retail stranded, drop that price back down into the 30K to 25K range, maybe even dip all the way down to 20K so that they can gobble up more supply before the real bull market starts. At this point, guys, I really caution being too overly bullish. I do think we're moving to the upside, but 42, 50K, 75K, I think you're doing yourself a little bit disservice if your expectation is that's where we're going to without a good drop before then. It's going to happen long term, but probably not in 2023. That's my final saying there. We're going to go ahead and transition, though, guys, with our guest this morning. If you're loving the content so far, smash that like button. But I'm going to throw it to T. Shroom to kind of lead this interview. We have a representative from Kadena. I'm very excited to learn more about it, but I want to once again specify this video is not sponsored by Kadena. This video is an educational purpose only. We are not recommending you purchase KDA, but we do want you to know a little more about it so that you can decide for yourself if this should be added to your crypto portfolio. So T-Shroom, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got Nick on today from Kadena. How are you doing this morning, Nick?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
Better than I deserve, Nick. Oh man, so it's good to have you on. We've been anticipating this for a while now. That's a good-looking beard, I must say, as well. We are a fan of good-looking beards on the show, as you can see. I have to shave mine because of my duty to my country once a month, so it's not in good form right now. But Tim kind of carries us on that front. So enough about beards. Let's get into it. Kadena is proof of work. There's been a huge movement over the last few years, 3 years, mainly. The big one was Ethereum moving over to proof of stake. Kind of looking at the future of crypto, is Kadena continue is Kadena, is it a source of pride to continue to be proof of work?
It is, yeah. Apologies, a bit of lag my side. So if I'm delayed, then do forgive me. But look, it is a source of pride. Like proof of work. In terms of Bitcoin being classified as a commodity, basically because of its proof of work status. I think that does a great deal of kind of shows that we maybe got it right. And maybe look, it might be worthwhile just giving a bit of background just on Kadena. The two founders Stuart Popejoy, Will Martino. Stuart Popejoy was head of trading, P. Morgan, and Will Martino was part of the blockchain at SEC before joining JP Morgan. So it's been developed from a kind of enterprise scale backdrop, from the very kind of genesis of it. We've kind of had that idea, and yeah, look, we're happy with if everyone wants to go POS, they can go for it.
Nice. Good use of the acronym there. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Nick. So yeah, kind of zooming back into the background, I appreciate you jumping into our next question here. So Kadena, it got started, it sounds like, from, kind of finding its roots in former traders and folks in the blockchain industry early on. So from here, from where it started to where we are now, what is really the future of Kadena as it's looking to continue to grow and integrate into blockchain and Web3 going into the future?
Yes, so the future. We've got some interesting stuff coming up. We've got some really interesting stuff coming up. I mean, look, I know we're talking about proof of work, etc. But we're working on layer 2. We're working on ZK and integrating ZK maybe into our smart contract language, as well as maybe on our kind of L2 also. Smart contract wallets is another really, really important and interesting product development for us, and how that will kind of overlap with our ecosystem development. Working on some real world life use cases. There's can't necessarily mention the names, but we are working with some different real life businesses that are interested in adopting Web3, and we're interested in doing it so that the user doesn't even need to know that it's Web3. If you want me to give a quick example, I don't know if you guys have ever passed maybe some courses and got certifications, etc., and how you manage that certificate, and how you are issued that certificate, and how other people can verify that certificate. These are all massive, massive use cases for Web3 blockchain, outside of maybe your tokens and your token prices, but then you're obviously having on-chain transactions and generating gas fees, which obviously are extremely low on chain web and within our ecosystem. And we also have another kind of product, which is gas stations. So you can preload a specific kind of unit, if you want to call it that, so that if you have 10,000 users with a real world life use case, they never have to even know that the transaction and gas fees have been involved, and they're all prepaid. And that's something that we're finding our enterprise users are really, really receptive to.
Very nice. Yeah, awesome. Well, definitely some exciting stuff to look forward to there from Kadena. Integrating the ZK is actually going to be pretty exciting to see. Already a pretty speedy blockchain. So sounds like it's only going to get better. That's good. That's good stuff.
That might be alpha. That might be alpha. I'm not sure if I was supposed to say that or not. And if I wasn't, then forget it.
Uh-oh. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Well, yeah, no, that's really good. Also, sounds like you got some good partnerships in the pipeline. I totally understand. You don't want to necessarily give the information specifically of who that partnership is. Might be a little bit too much alpha there, but we appreciate that kind of at least seeing the use case of what that partnership could be like. And that's absolutely true. I spend so much time in crypto, looking at so many articles and so many developments. I never even thought about diploma validation and storage. It's kind of interesting. Definitely a lot of potential there. So really good. Well, perhaps Nick, you could share with us a little bit on more of a personal level. Kona, what is your role at Kadena, and what are you specifically? I mean, you mentioned a couple of different things there, but yeah, what does your day to day look like? What is it like working at a big blockchain like Kadena?
Yeah, so head of DeFi or business development lead for DeFi specifically, but obviously I cover a few other verticals. I mean, my background, I worked in before Web3. I was actually working in equities, so for European bank and a North American bank, and then I actually had my own business working in kind of early stage tech. We're mainly in London, to be brutally honest. And actually, look, I liked your quote of
Oh no.
day today. I'm hardly.
Getting a little bit of freeze there.
Yeah, it's getting some freezing.
Little turbulence there, Nick. But yeah, we appreciate you sharing. I guess the last thing I'd ask is, what is, if someone is very unfamiliar with Kadena, right, but they're in the blockchain, meaning like they have a MetaMask, they're on CoinMarketCap a lot, they're watching a show like this, what is the best entry point into Kadena's ecosystem if they wanted to develop on Kadena, and then you personally, you can share your socials and the socials for, not your social security, but your socials to people can follow you and things like that.
So we have a really solid grants program that we're running, and you mentioned day to day. Part of every day we're reviewing grant applications that have come in from various developers and projects that are interested in building on Kadena, or potentially have been building on Solidity, and they realize that actually our smart contract language Pact is a lot more useful, user friendly, easier to learn, easier to master, and also has that kind of cross chain interoperability, so that it's quite easy to shift between various blockchains if you need to do that. So the grants program is definitely worth mentioning, and if people have got a great, fantastic idea, if it's a real world life use case, if it's a DeFi use case, we've had about 500, 550 grant applications in the last 4 to 5 months that we've been going through. We've had our first kind of cohort of grantees who have come to at least the initial maybe first or second milestone completion, and we're going through the kind of evaluations of how successful those have been, and how we can iterate on that and improve. So literally, if you have a great idea and you're looking for some assistance and funding and development expertise, we're definitely open to those ideas. And I think we announced last year our grants program is about $100 million. So it's quite substantive, and it's been working great. I mean, I'm more of a, I've been in crypto as well, from an interest point probably since 2014. And I would say I'm definitely on the scale of being extremely interested in cross chain. My day to day, I've been watching the Polkadot Decoded conference, which has been super interesting. And we are always open to ideas, and what is maybe a crazy idea today is the normal in 2 years. So, and that's definitely how Web3 and blockchain is going and developing. I really love your channel, the channel you got, and have an analysis perspective. It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Heck yeah. Well, Nick, we really enjoyed having you. Unfortunately, there's a bunch of news that we've got to cover. So, well, not unfortunately, yeah, but it was a super big honor to have you on, to be able to bring some good alpha to our audience, but also just to get a little FaceTime with a cool project. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I guess we'll go ahead and slip right on into stories. Tim or Piper, did you guys have any closing questions for Nick as we get into the stories?
No, while we were listening, I'm listening, doing research. I was doing some TA on it. I think if really quickly, T-Jam, I'll be like 2 minutes. You guys share my screen here, Piper.
Better be.
Yeah, very quickly. There's some things here, guys. There's some negatives. This from a price action perspective. Nothing to do with where the project's going to be going fundamentally and what they can produce. But there's two ways of looking at this. Negative is a couple days ago we hit the new low for this bear market. We came down all the way to 51 cents. The positive is we're down 99% pretty much from all-time high. There's room to the upside. And on the daily chart, I don't love seeing how it's flashed up high. Despite the fact the price is not necessarily high, we definitely got some bearish divergence forming there on the RSI and the daily chart. So I want to see that kind of fixed, but I do see a falling wedge pattern kind of forming right here that if it does get a bullish breakout, could be very explosive for Kadena, could be very helpful to the price action. This could bring us all the way, if we were to break out somewhere down here, this could bring us all the way back up to about $1.74. It's going to take some time for that to happen. But on the 4-hour chart, we're seeing some positivity down on the 4-hour chart and hourly chart. You guys can see we just crossed below the trend assistant, but a lot of times when you're that overextended, that's another sign of being oversold. We're getting our oversold flashes. The RSI primed is low down here towards about like 10. That's really, really bullish. I'm looking at that. The hourly chart is also looking quite bullish. RSI primed really, really low. Just got our oversold flashes coming in. So I think it's going to take a while for some serious money to come back here, but I am seeing potentially this is some trade opportunity here, not because the price is just going to explode, but simply because we're seeing some short-term positivity. And even if we were to just make it back up to this resistance level, let's just say like right now we start to make a bullish push and push back up and still get rejected and move to the downside, we're looking at potential gains of like 16, 15% or so. So again, not financial advice, not recommending anybody absolutely go into Kadena. Please use your own brain and decision making. If you like what you hear, good. If you don't like what you hear, that's completely fine. Just continue to move forward. But just wanted to bring you guys what's happening on the charts along with some of the updates about what they're doing fundamentally. So thank you so much for coming on and being here with us this morning. And take care. All right. T-Stream, let's go ahead and jump into those stories because, yes, we do have a lot of them.
All right, we've got loads of them, guys. We're going to start off with some light stories here. If you'll go over to my screen, this is actually showing that Justin Eubanks follows Elon Musk. Of all people, Justin Eubanks is the one that Twitter is going to point out. Maybe he's the only other person that follows Elon Musk. All right, anyway, it's Elon Musk's birthday. He's turning 52 today. It's his cake day. And there's another story that is actually pretty interesting, even more interesting, I'd say, is that Elon Musk is beginning training for his fight against Mark Zuckerberg. I don't know if this is a joke, but Watcher.Guru, who we do tend to take seriously, is covering that. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed
I don't know if it's a joke because that's Lex Fridman, right? In that photo.
It kind of looks like him.
It is. I'm pretty sure because Lex Fridman posted it. I think Lex Fridman went out there and Lex Fridman trains. Like Lex Fridman in his free threat, he definitely trains. And he was saying that he was I saw his post. He said he was actually very surprised and impressed with the power and technique that Elon already has and he's training. So like I know we're laughing and this is a joke type of situation, but like Elon might not have been bluffing when he set up that fight in Vegas. I think Elon might actually do it.
Well, hey, I mean, I think it's more likely than not. They're going to build up the hype and they're going to make it happen. All right, but that is the end of our light section here for the news. Let's get into the heavy stuff. Piper, I'm going to throw it over to you, but first, from the Twitter account DB, FID alleges Prime Trust lost access to legacy wallets in 2021 and used customer assets to buy back crypto. Oh, brother, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Piper, let us know what you're thinking about this story and give us a little more details.
Yeah, so I'm just going to bring us into BroCam here because there's a lot of stuff in here, guys, and it's a whole bunch of tweets put together. So let's go ahead and talk about what we're seeing, like right up from the front. So let me get my little notes up here because I had to go through a bunch of notes for this. So this actually ties in a lot of people that are going to be in trouble. One of them being Prime Trust itself, obviously. The other one being TUSD stablecoin, and then also some ties into some exchanges. So first off, the custodian, crypto custodian is Prime Trust, and it finds itself in precarious bad moves right now. The Nevada Financial Institution Division threw down the gauntlet, petitioning for the company to be placed into receivership. This all took place because, evidently in 2021, Prime Trust lost access to its legacy wallets. And so they had to use customer assets to repurchase crypto. this is where it gets really bad, guys, is that as of right now, Prime Trust owes its customers around $85.6 million in fiat currency. But it only has about $2.9 million on hand. So, when it comes to the digital currency, the company has about $69.5 million, but it only holds about $68.6 million. So that fiat side has got to be paid because, that's the one that people are going to really hammer on when it comes down to regulators, right? They're going to go, where's all of this money? Which is, again, 85.6 million owed, 2.9 million on hand. So, it looks like they're going to have to sell off a bunch of crypto if anyone ever came knocking on the door saying they want their fiat, right? Uh, it gets even more interesting, and I'm actually going to share this real quick to show you guys here.
Kind of begs the question: what crypto do they hold the most of?
Well, 88% of their entire holdings is in audio token T-Shroom. So those that for those out there that don't know, I actually hit T-Shroom up this morning and said, so we shorten audio. Yeah, bad. It's really bad. So the storm clouds even get worse though. True USD depegged earlier yesterday, right? It recovered, but it depegged for a little while. And the big issue is that the Prime Trust has a large holding of the TUSD. To tap it all in together here, guys, the audit firm that's responsible for doing the TUSD is also the same firm that did the auditing for FTX before they collapsed and they changed their name. So the audit may not even be accurate at all on TUSD. So, and actually, when we were talking about this morning, Tim, you said there's even it gets worse.
Well, it potentially gets worse, and this is with some limited information, but I do think that people need to know about this. And actually, a lot of this information I'm about to repeat is coming from Matt C. So I don't know if Matt C is in chat. I haven't seen him just yet, but he's the one that brought this to my attention. And I have to do some digging on this, even for my personal self. And if you guys are investing in what I'm about to talk about, you need to do some digging. I'm not concerned just yet, but I Trust Capital recently, and I'm talking very recently, moved their custodial wallets from Coinbase to Fortress Trust.
Okay.
Fortress Trust is owned and created by the same guy that created Prime Trust. And there's been some nefarious little transactions that have happened between Prime Trust and Fortress Trust. And we know the grievances as Piper just laid out. We know a lot of the sins of Prime Trust. And there's a lot of speculation that potentially Fortress Trust could be playing with the same type of thing and could have a crash go down. And now the question becomes, at this point, I do know that people at they're very, very, very aware at iTrust Capital of these accusations. They feel very confident at this point themselves. So I'm not freaking out just yet about my iTrust account. But it is a question mark that I got to start asking. I got to do some more digging here. What happens? Like, is that my money? Because I know when they were at Coinbase, this is what a little bit irks me. When they were at Coinbase, they were very adamant, and Coinbase backed this up, that if anything ever happened to iTrust Capital, that money would still be in the Coinbase wallet. It was not being leveraged and used for other things. It was sitting there, and it was your money. And even if iTrust Capital went down, you would have a route to recover your money 100%. I'm sure that there was discussion about that being the exact same deal at Fortress. I know the owner and the founders of iTrust Capital. They are very responsible people. They did their research before they got into bed with Fortress. But here's where I'm a little concerned. Did Fortress just flat out lie? Are they completely lying? Is this just a completely fraudulent company, fraudulent founder? And it doesn't matter if iTrust Capital did all their due diligence, if they thought that they signed all this, if there's lawsuits that come, like if they lost our money, if our iTrust Capital money is gone and it goes away and Fortress loses it, we can sue. But if there's no money, where's that money? We're not going to get anything back. So it's one of those things that I'm not in a spot just yet where I'm running to iTrust Capital to remove my money because I do trust them. I trust iTrust Capital, but I do not trust Fortress. And I don't know if iTrust can fully, there's a lot of trust getting said here, guys. I don't know if iTrust Capital can fully trust Fortress. And so I'm going to be doing some research. You guys know I'm connected with the BitBoy channel. They have a relationship with iTrust Capital. They've helped thousands of people set up
a lot of channels have a connection with iTrust. So yeah.
I don't want people to freak out just yet and run for the hills, and but it's definitely something to start keeping your eyes on. Stay tuned here. I also have the BitBoy research team working to dig deeper on this as well, because if something does go down negative, we don't know for 100% it will, but if something does go down negative, you definitely want to be getting your money out of iTrust ASAP.
Well, there's more to the story even besides that now.
Okay. Well,
yes. So
it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah. So let me jump over here and show you guys. So Prime Trust put into receivership, lost its legacy wallets. We talked about that, right? But the TUSD can't be fully backed as the actual dollars weren't there. We were talking about that money that's missing. So TUSD's reserve backing doesn't actually exist. Here's where it gets really bad. This could be horrible for Binance because Binance offer free TUSD trades, and then they also have a lockup of $590 million worth of TUSD and $1.6 billion of BNB through July 8th. So if this is to fail, it could actually have a big vacuum of liquidity issues for Binance, adding even more bad things onto Binance's already horrible looking plate. So, yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Like, this is you remember 3 Hours Capital and the whole Alameda research and how one little thing broke and it just all came crumbling down. We could be looking at another situation like that right now. So
yeah, and Micah, shout out to Micah, just commented, said, "Hey, investing bros, bring iTrust on the show and drill them with questions." But by the way, we could. I could probably reach out, get a connection, get a representative from there, and we might do that. But I'm telling you right now, they're not going to have every single answer on this because, again, we're not just you're going to get if you own an iTrust account and everything goes terrible. Again, I'm talking worst case scenario. You will get screwed too, but so will iTrust Capital. Like, it's not that iTrust Capital, and I know that they're responsible because they're the ones that set up their business, so they're going to have to they're going to take the blame on this too. But it will not because of their downfall. It will be because they went into business with a very terrible company. And so if I were to bring them on, I fear that they won't have the answers that a lot of people want to have. I think that this is something that's going to have an independent research done, look more into the details, and maybe iTrust is doing that. So you know what? I think I might reach out. I might reach out to my contact at iTrust Capital, ask for an interview here very soon. But I'm going to continue to do some independent research here as well because the devil is in the details. I'd love to see the contracts. I'd love to see what those wallets look like. My hope, again, is that they set up something similar to what they did with Coinbase, to where there's some oversight that the wallets where that money's being held, there's oversight that it is not being touched, that there's no way for them to go in there and commingle funds and do this stuff. But until I see that receipt, you got to have a question in the back of your mind. Is this still safe? So again, I don't want to fear monger. And again, I want to tell people, like, I think you would be a little bit too early to go rush and grab all your money out, and you could be making a mistake. But I do think I think people want to do their own research. Stay tuned here. Stay tuned to other channels. Keep looking up details about Fortress. Do not if Fortress is slipping on the radar. Prime Trust is everywhere. You're going to hear Prime Trust, Prime Trust, Prime Trust, Prime Trust. You got to look for the details of Fortress Trust, but they are related to Prime Trust, and it's looking kind of scary. That's probably enough on this topic. We got more stories, but we'll keep you posted. T-Shrim, what else do we have this morning?
Well, yeah, just looking over at iTrust Capital's Twitter, there hasn't really been a post, in a while. They're just, a little bullish on Bitcoin. Who's not? But all right, moving back into some other stories here, guys. Fidelity, here's a good silver lining. Fidelity readies new spot Bitcoin ETF filing. There you go. That's bullish. Not really much more than that you need to see. There you go. Let's see. Bitcoin miners send 315% of daily revenue to exchanges, recording high interaction. So Now, what you might be thinking is, oh, that's bearish, right? Money being sent to exchanges. Well, the mining revenue in Bitcoin network is intimately linked with the price of Bitcoin. Therefore, miners tend to increase their sales when they perceive the market to be robust enough to absorb the additional supply. This recent move could indicate strong confidence in the market, in the current market strength. You sell into strength, guys. That's what the miners are doing. Miners are looking at things a little bit differently from an economic standpoint. Cardano is set to be delisted on Wabe. Will it dent the ADA price? We're going to be probably covering this one more the rest of the week as we do TA on ADA and talking about it more there. But this is something to note as Wabe is going to delist Cardano there. So, and then here's one that we're seeing a lot of in the chat already. Qcoin crypto exchange to introduce mandatory KYC in July. This is a bummer here, guys. We're going to circle back. I'm going to get Tim and Piper's view on this, but let me really quick get into our last story here. Bitcoin no longer crypto of choice for illicit crypto activity. This one is pretty interesting. There's a quote here. Indeed, cash and even older forms of finance, such as Hawali, transferring money without physically moving it. I totally misread that. Hawala remain the default means by which illicit activity is financed and its proceeds are laundered. So there you go. There's definitely been a big downtick in Bitcoin being the means of transfer for illicit activity. Guys, let's circle back to this Qcoin story. Piper, I'll throw it over to you first. How big of a story is this? I know I hear you talking about KYC and exchanges all the time. So what is the Piper take?
I think you're going to see this continue to grow. KYC is going to, as we get closer to regulation policy, which when if we ever see it, if Gary Gensler ever does his job, we might have more. But I think the closer we get to it, you're going to see more KYC requirements. But my question is, do you know what they were talking about when they said Hawala T-shirt?
I don't.
So Hawalas are the banking system within the Middle East, and they don't just deal in money, they deal in seed, they deal in fertilizer, labor. So like when, for example, the poppy fields, they'll have a Hawala that will be managing seed and money and all this other stuff. And then the farmers will come to them and go, hey, we would like to get seed for our season. And they give it to them up front with the promise of paying it back off of their yields, right? And then they'll bring in the actual goods for the seed. And then, like, if there's workers that need to come in and work the fields, the Hawala will provide that, which will then add on. And they keep all of this in ledger books. Like, Hawalas are an old banking system used throughout the Middle East, a lot of undeveloped banking, non-banking localities in the world. And Hawalas are another outlet that we lose tracking funds. You hear me talk about all the time when I work threat finance, counter drug. We lose the ability to track funds when it goes into Hawalas or when it goes into US dollars. So there you go again. Yet another example of what I've told you guys continuously. Us in the threat finance intel world would love for stuff to stay on the blockchain. So
Absolutely. Well, Tim, quickly, we'll get your take on this. Actually, we're looking like we're going to have a decent amount of time here toward the end of the show. There are a couple of things we could look at on the equity side. But Tim, your take on this KYC story over at Qcoin, how big is it? And are you going to hit the sell button as a result?
So to answer my question, I want to read one of the comments put in chat by Gia S. She said, I'm not too concerned about KuCoin's KYC. Pretty sure I already did that. I just want to make my money and then get out of the banks. So there's a positive side. There's a negative side. There's some stuff to consider here when we're talking about the KYC. The negative side is obviously when you're KYCing, this is going to allow more control from government entities. Ultimately, whether an exchange uses this or not, which they don't have to, but they possess the ability to do things like what we saw happen this last year in Canada when the truckers were protesting and the Canadian government asked for exchanges to shut down accounts of all the people involved that were sending money or receiving money. They were trying to block it, right? Well, with the KYC, that enables them to actually efficiently go in and do that. That's the negative side of it. The positive side of KYC is, and when I say positive, you have to, I'm kind of being abstract here. They have to KYC, as Piper mentioned, to stay up with regulatory, means. but they're going to compete with banks like GS is saying here. This is absolutely going to happen. We are going to see modern day banks either become exchanges for cryptocurrency and other assets or go extinct. So do not be surprised when we see the JP Morgan, yes, Chase and Bank of America and when we see these banks offer crypto exchanges as well to do these things. KuCoin, Coinbase, Binance.us, crypto.com, name your crypto exchange at the moment. They're going to have to KYC to stay in a regulatory bounds, but they're also going to be able to compete with the modern day banking system. And they're, of course, they've been around longer. They understand crypto a little bit better. I feel like I trust them a little bit more than I would trust going and holding my Bitcoin or Ethereum in Bank of America exchange or Chase exchange. That's just me. So that's the kind of positive side, is that yes, you hate to see KYC, but ultimately it's kind of inevitable, and it's not worse than the current system. The only thing that kind of sucks, like Piper discussed, is, yeah, guess what? Illegal activity happens in cash, and then I learned that today. The Hawala stuff, that's where illegal activity is going to happen. They can't shut it down. The U.S. government can't shut that stuff down. When it comes to blockchain, they love blockchain because they absolutely will be able to shut down illegal activity. And then the question becomes, what does the government deem as illegal activity? Is it illegal to park trucks in a highway in a form of protest because you disagree with your government? Illegal activity, shut down those accounts. That's the stuff I'm concerned about. But I also realize it's not going to affect it. More than likely, I don't expect my personal exchange to ever get paused or frozen or anything. But I do know that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And that's my biggest concern when it comes to KYCing every exchange in the US.
Yep. It's going to be interesting to see. I think the biggest certainty is that the banks are so dominant. These large corporate banks, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, you don't hear as much about too much anymore. But I think these banks, they're going to get theirs, and they're going to get theirs when it comes to crypto. Obviously, Bitcoin, luckily, it is what it is. It's extremely difficult to take over, right? But the banks are going to get theirs. They're going to absolutely figure out a way to get upside exposure, no matter how much manipulation they're going to have to do. But there's one more story here.
Hold on, one more thought, real quick, because I saw another comment in chat. Let's see who said it. I think Eric Wallen said, "I'm going to probably get everything off, then try to use after with a VPN." Here's the thing: I think VPNs are going to last here for a while, but I want you guys to know. I want to be careful with how I say this. Someone we all know has been sued for promoting VPNs. I'm not going to say who. I think we all know. People get sued a lot. This person gets sued a lot and is involved in lawsuits.
Oprah?
I don't think it's going to be that long, guys. Yeah, it's Oprah. I don't think it's going to be that long before the government makes a major push to find a way to close VPNs as well. I think they're going to try to find a way. Obviously, the main asset, and like most people use VPNs for security purposes. They're not even trying to use different IPs for the sake of doing things that, like, they're literally saying we need to secure our devices. We need to secure our networks, and they use VPNs. I'm not going to be surprised to see a lot of tech and research go into how can you create VPNs that allow you to still be secure, but do not allow you to take an IP in a different country that has different regulation laws. It's going to be hard, and it might take a long time, but I want people to know we're already seeing the beginning steps of governments trying to get rid of VPNs. If you think that VPNs are your end-all, be-all safety to get around this, it might be for a little while, but the other thing is, do not be surprised if they start looking and investigating to see if Americans are investing using VPNs. Something just to keep your eyes on. Again, don't want to fearmonger, but I want you guys to know VPNs are not getting away from things scot-free.
Well, the other thing too is I think it's going to go the opposite direction. I think VPNs are going to be ancient history, and there's going to be AI technology to where you don't have to do anything. You can just say, "Hey, AI, my AI, go ahead and go buy a bunch of lots, like a broker. Go buy a bunch of Bitcoin for me and send it to this wallet," right? And nobody's going to know what. It'll be a lot harder to track.
Things are going to get. I think you're never going to be able to prevent people from doing things that the government deems illegal. But they're going to make it hard. They're going to make it very sketchy. They're going to make you have to constantly be looking over your shoulder with what you're doing.
Yeah. I think we're all going to be very surprised. It all comes down to who wins in AI. Is it going to be a private entity that cares about the people, not even cares about the people's, figures out a business model to deliver anonymity to people like you and me, or is it going to be the government who uses AI to basically tell the IRS to, hey, go ahead and track down everybody you can using this ultra powerful machine? And then once you get to quantum computing, it's even more so. It's like it's just a race of tools. And right now, the VPN companies are winning. But it's like you said, we don't know how much longer that's going to last. All right, so getting into this last story here, Piper, really quick, going over to my screen. Yesterday, NVIDIA dipped on report the U.S. is considering new AI chip export restrictions to China. This would obviously have negative outcomes for NVIDIA, but also for AMD. The federal government is weighing further restrictions on export powerful computing chips to China, the kind that power AI models. The Wall Street Journal has reported. This is for obvious reasons, guys. I mean, the United States is kind of getting close to deeming AI a national security threat if it's in the wrong hands. That's what's going on here. But what is comforting to me, very comforting to me, is that if you take a look here at the price of NVIDIA, it's only down 2%, guys, in trading. This is basically saying, hey, this is signaling to me resilience. And I know we're reaching the end here, but this is signaling to me strong resilience, a lot of strength in this AI thesis and this AI narrative moving forward. And this is ultimately going to bode well for Bitcoin because it's going to buoy the NASDAQ that has a lot of weight in AI names such as Microsoft, NVIDIA, and on down the line. So that's good news. I mean, it's kind of like what we say in Bitcoin is like, oh, there's a lot of FUD right now, but Bitcoin price is staying high. It's very similar to this. The US government just told NVIDIA that they're probably not going to be able to sell their chips to a giant market anymore, to China, and the price is only down 2%. Now, that could change throughout the rest of the trading session in New York. It could change throughout the rest of this month, right? Once NVIDIA's lobbyists see how serious DC is actually about this. But right now, kind of getting the all clear, and this could be pretty bullish. You could see a movement higher from this, so we'll see. But in terms of a market open, indexes are mixed. The Nasdaq is green, just barely. Energy's red across the screen. So there is a little bit of a rotation into risk, which kind of makes sense, guys. I think that thesis that I just laid out is actually pretty accurate. Pretty strongly believing in that. Bitcoin here and Ethereum coming down this morning, almost down 2% there. So, but your mega cap tech stocks, your U.S. equities, getting a nice little rotation this morning. That was the opposite yesterday, I believe. Tesla even up 2% there. So things are moving in the right direction for equities. Here you're seeing your mid caps. Coinbase is able to tick back up a little bit this morning as well, up 1.4%. Snowflake, there was a huge partnership story with that. So on down the board, oil producers are down 1%. So we're closing out the show with a nice little market open. There you go. But that thesis for the chip makers, I think, is good. I think it's very bullish as it shows a lot of strength and resilience in the market.
Very, very cool. Well, guys, as we're wrapping up the show today, thank you so much for staying with us here. Make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing to the channel and sharing with your friends, guys. We're probably not going to get our 4,000 subscribers by the end of June, but maybe by the end of July. Some things that will help. There will be some guest appearances here later. Today, I got a busy day today because I still have my job here at the Hit Network. But then at 2:30, I will be going live on the Paul Barron Network. Make sure you guys go over there and check it out. That should be fun. Haven't been on there for about a month and a half or so. So love going back on there. And then I'll be making another appearance on ATB tonight. Make sure you guys come show support. And by the way, shout out to Around the Blockchain and everything they're doing. If you guys have not, go over to Twitter, right as this is over, go over to Twitter and make some post. We need to get Around the Blockchain's Twitter back. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever, but they have disabled the Around the Blockchain Twitter account. And even though we have been requesting for review, whatever, they're giving us no explanation whatsoever, and they're refusing to pull it back up. But the way that these things get changed when they see massive outcry from the audience about it, and that's going to push Twitter to maybe look into this more and get that back up. So please go show support to the show every single night, but also go onto Twitter and tag Elon, tag anyone you can, and say, hey, ATB needs to get their Twitter back. Guys, that's all we have for you in this episode. We are the Investing Bros, the most generous crypto community in all of YouTube. You guys have a phenomenal day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shrooms news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.
Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros. Investing bros.